Glue Troopers. I'm in my hotel in Richmond, Virginia. This is a downtown boutique hotel. It's an older place. It's okay, but unfortunately, it doesn't have any real work area. This is the only thing that qualifies as a table in the room. So I have taken the suitcase holder, flipped my suitcase over on it, and made myself a little impromptu work area. And I'm starting off with the KI 100. And it's got a couple of neat little features, of course, like many of the Aoshima kits. It has separate ailerons and retractable undercarriage, and it also has this little stand which has a rubber suction cup for a base. That's pretty cool. And as you can tell, I've already gotten started on the KI 100, and I will report anything of interest. Right now I'm just pre-fitting the parts and clipping off the flash. And so far it looks like a standard Aoshima kit. I won't be able to use the decals because I have no way to paint it here. But that'll wait till we get home. But I did bring a little bit of putty and stuff with me. It's all wrapped up in plastic and some clamps this time. So I'll have those out in just a second. And after I get done pre-fitting everything. There is a great deal of flash on the propeller, and the propeller shaft has to be glued in before you mount it because it does not fit between these two places, these two firewalls. It has to go all the way to the inside. There's no way that piece will fit in between these two. Plus there's grooves cut in both of them, and the instructions show that it actually lies behind both of them. I'm not entirely sure why they felt they needed two of them, probably to keep the prop from wobbling. But again, we're going to have to be very careful trimming all this flash off of this thing. And propeller on the other Aoshima kit was also the most problematic part, but just a minor deal. I fed the carpet monster a piece, and before I had to use a flashlight to find it because it's gray on gray. But I did find it, but I wanted to show it to you before I picked it up. Oh, that would have been fun if I hadn't seen where it dropped. I cinched it down really tight this time. There wasn't much glue in here, and I double bagged it so there's no outgassing and no film around it this time. It looks clean. The two halves fit very nicely, but there is a ridge along here. It's not a gap, it's an actual ridge, a rise in the plastic that'll have to be filed down, but shouldn't be a problem. I'll let that harden first. I'll save the pilot figure for later because I want to obviously paint the inside of the cockpit and put him in there. So I might tack glue the canopy in place or something just so we can get a little display on it. But oops. Yeah, anyway, we shall play with that later. And they made, I believe it was just shy of 400, somewhere between 300 and 400 of these things. And from what I have read, they were actually better than the one with the inline engine, depending on who you want to ask. The wing goes together easy enough, but there's a pretty substantial gap on the ailerons. I don't know if that's actually the way the real plane was or not, but yeah. But everything's lined up correctly. This kit also has retractable main undercarriage, which I put in backwards because it wasn't until I looked at the picture I was like, oh yeah, that's the way the wheels go, the gears go. But they do retract in and out. The interesting part about having gears retracting out is that the little gear doors do not retract. They're fixed into position. So if you were to retract the gear on display and try to have it where you could go both up or down with it, you're not going to be able to retract the inner gear doors when the gear is up. So I'll probably pose it down, but it also looks like the landing gears probably are going to poke out of the bottom anyway if they're retracted. You know, but what this kit was, judging by the box, I'm guessing that was probably made in the 60s, maybe the 70s. And what did this thing probably cost? 79 cents, maybe $1. You know, I think I'm being a little hard on what was clearly designed to be, you know, a very inexpensive, straightforward kit, which has some lovely box art though. And but you know, if I can't criticize, what's the point of making videos? Well, I take that back a little bit. When I take the clamps off, the gears actually do recess pretty well. We'll see once the doors are on when everything's hardened. Back to using my old childhood tricks to keep everything in place while it hardens. Amazing how handy the empty box can be for keeping your fins and everything level and keeping the ailerons in position while the glue hardens. Not a bad little kit. Not a bad little kit at all so far. I was reading up on this airplane, of course just some Wikipedia stuff, but apparently this one with the cut back canopy is a later version. As you recall, the Tony, which was the one airplane this was based on, or the Hein, or Heen, however you say that word in Japanese, was a Razorback aircraft, and this is apparently the KI-100 1B, I believe, which only a small number, maybe 100 or so, had the bubble canopy with the cut back fuselage. But apparently it worked really well. They were very happy with it. Luckily for the Allies, it came out pretty late, although it was apparently considered one of their best interceptors. Well, it looks like they will lay fairly flush. Given what this kit probably costs, you gotta admit, you were getting your money's worth out of it. This is about as far as I can go with it on the road. It's only snap fit with the wings because I have to take it apart to get it in the box for shipping. But actually, a rather attractive model. Of course, I'll paint it when I get home. I brought putty. As you can tell, the undercarriage does retract. Here it is with the wheels down. I brought putty, but I just realized I'm not going to be able to seal anything with the wings because the wings have to come off for shipping. But I thought I might need it for the tail or fuselage, but it actually, I filed it down. It actually seamed up pretty nicely. So I don't think I'm going to need it. I'll go around the wings and check. But pretty tight little kit. And obviously I don't have the little inner gear doors on. They're still on the sprue because I don't know if I'm going to pose it wheels up or wheels down. Probably going to be wheels down. Save the stand for, use the stand for something else. And that is the Aoshima 1/72nd scale KI-100. Well, we're back here in Richmond, and it's time for afternoon coffee and to get started on the other model. And this is the A7M2, also an Aoshima kit, 1/72nd scale. This one's a skosh more complicated than the other because it has some folding wingtips on it. And so let's get it out and take a look at it. Here are all the parts laid out, and of course these folding wingtips are the only thing that's really different. Although this one does have a retracting tail wheel. So I'll get started on this. This piece right here is a mystery piece. It's not on the instruction sheet and I can't figure out where it goes, and no, it is not a retainer for the propeller. The propeller is like the other one. It has the plunger shape. So I'll snoop around before I install, but it could just be some kind of extra sprue, but with the trouble of poking a hole in it, so I'll figure that out. Well, this is going together pretty well. I'm sitting here watching YouTube's A Word on Westerns while I'm working on this, but of course the wings, although it went together without much argument, a little bit of fitting, but these wingtips, like those ailerons on the other one, there's a very reasonable gap. Of course, I'll probably pose it with the wingtips up to accentuate them. Let that harden for a while. Well, the wings are just snapped into place and the canopy's just sitting on it, but that's what it looks like. And the Wings need to be filed down, obviously. The tips do fold, whoops, and so does the gear. Well, we pretty much got it ready to pack up for travel. I guess that's everything. You guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you when we get home.